how these kind of events are more important than ever, because like bringing together people, that's where the true magic happens.
All right, Michael, great to have you here. I would just start straight away with my first question, maybe a more simple question, maybe some thought will even require is how do you assess founders? So do you have some mental model when you see a founder for the first time? Just give me some guidance.
So first of all, thanks a lot for the invitation
Yeah,
to IdeaLab.
sure.
I'm really looking forward to this conference. Have been here several times. It's really amazing. To your question, a very good one. So obviously there are the standard topics like how is the product, how is the technology, how is the
Obviously,
market, etc.
yeah.
But for me, there are probably 3 or 4 really important topics. One is timing. You can have the best team, best funding, best whatever. If the timing is bad, it doesn't work. For example, there's no successful social network that was founded in the 90s. Why? Because the timing for this type of business was wrong. Then the second one is passion, which I and resilience, because there nowadays it's so en vogue, if you want, or so hip to be a founder, that oftentimes I ask myself, is this a lifestyle founder or somebody who's truly convinced about solving a problem, that has the deep desire out of his kind of history or her history to work on that problem? And then the third one is, how ambitious is the founder? What's his vision? Does he have a really big vision that we as a venture capitalist want to support?
So, okay, so what I've understood is that this deep drive is the most important thing, and that you should maybe not scratch the surface, only the lifestyle benefits, probably, I mean, in many cities have as a founder, and just really have to dig deep. Okay, is this really a person that wants to commit many, many years into really painful work to solve a really big problem? And I think that leads me perfectly to the next question, because I have looked a bit into like Redstone and how you approach, let's say, deals, how you do term sheets and how you source, and you're like pretty much at the forefront with SOFIA, with data or AI enabled sourcing. And I think that is a really great opportunity to, let's say, really have an unbiased possibility to get exactly these founders that are really committed. And now I would ask you why did you take the leap forward to participate or be at the forefront of data-enabled sourcing, and how do you think the future would look like in the VC landscape?
So it's actually when I co-founded Redstone over 10 years ago with my partner Samuli, we thought about how does the future of venture capital look like from our point of view, and we said, and we were convinced that in the future a modern venture capital fund would be half a software and data company and only half a traditional investment firm. And at the time, nobody was speaking about data. And both Samuli and I, we have built actually big data businesses in the end. Before, we were both entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs. So we really built that kind of investment firm more like a startup, more like a technology company, because we are convinced that I don't think that short term you can automate the investment decision itself, but from like the strategy definition to the sourcing, to the evaluation, even to the support of founders and startups, it can help you a lot to be a lot more efficient, hopefully have much more rational decisions, and then create kind of better returns for the funds, but also be a better partner for the founder.
And at what stage do you think of the VC value chain does your SOFIA create the biggest value?
We're using it so SOFIA is our technology that kind of powers, let's say, our whole backbone of our firm. And we really use it in, I would say, nearly every single step. We use it when we discuss in which area should we invest, when we are looking for companies, when we see a company that we think is interesting, to evaluate them, to map the competitive landscape, when we have invested, to monitor the competitive landscape on a continuous basis. When we're looking for kind of follow-on funding rounds, who would be the best investors to join, down to who would be potential exit partners.
Yeah, okay. And do you think that, data-enabled platforms like SOFIA, will that become the norm for VCs?
I don't know the norm. I think the more and more firms will use some kind of software and data support, probably to different extents. And there are many different strategies you can have and use. You can say, hey, I don't know, I'm building a VC fund and I just invest into, I'm from a great university, and I just invest into a lot of startup from this great university because that had a great story.
WHU funds.
Yeah, for example, you invest into a lot of founders from WHU or from whatever other university, from Bocconi in Italy, etc., which have a good track record. So, and then the other one is that that you say, hey, with data you just can look into more and have. We think you can have a more scalable platform. And basically combine the network approach and the data approach.
I mean, yeah, that is really, really interesting. Do you think, like we talked about innovation in the VC game, do you think there's another paradigm shift? Maybe we have this data paradigm shift. Is there something even bigger coming up in the next 10 to 20 years?
I mean, you could argue, we actually in the firm have an argument and say, like, what would need to happen to completely automize the investment? Do you need actually venture capitalists as a job? And then with the AI, one discussion we had was actually, what happens if a fund looks like automatically you're looking for business models, then the software founds or AI is founding a company by itself, creating everything by itself, and then an automatic AI fund invests in itself. So actually, who would be the owner then of that? Yeah. And you can actually...
You can really play it alone.
Play it quite a long time. An interesting thing is a lot of that stuff is theoretically already here. So I think that's quite a big shift. The other one is kind of a verticalization of venture capital. What you see more and more specialists.
Industries.
Then the other one is that by now it's like there's nearly no industry that's not affected by kind of software and nowadays by AI. So this you see nearly no area of let's say life and of the business world that, let's say, venture isn't looking into. Yeah. So quite a lot going on.
Yeah, and now I want to shift to one of your recent investments. So you invested in XAI, which is, of course, at the forefront of, let's say, AI. Also incredible investments they do in AI infrastructure, and there's currently a big build out of every major tech incumbent in the USA, basically. So my question would be, how do you think these big investments will play out, and when will startups reap the benefits, and then VCs obviously as well?
Well, first of all, I think startups are already reaping the benefits, or actually the whole world is reaping the benefits, because if you look at these large kind of AI companies that really do the fundamental models, I mean, that's through different kind of platforms we're all using that already create huge efficiencies and benefits. The reason, I mean, why we invested in that and did that, because we think there are only going to be a few winners in that space, and you need literally tens of billions to build that, because of the infrastructure needs, of the training, etc. So the question for us was, who would be able to raise that amount of money? Now Elon Musk is probably one of the best, if not the best entrepreneurs over the past 100 or 200 years. So I think that's important. Second one is data, and unique data is super important. And through his other ventures, he has access to that. I mean, Wikipedia now has been kind of analyzed back and forth. So the question is, where do you get unique good content? And X itself is amazing for that. Then he has great access through all his other ventures to like the chip infrastructure. He is a big buyer with both Tesla as well as SpaceX. from NVIDIA. So he has good access to that. And then if you take all of that together, we thought that is actually a pretty good bet that we want to take.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Now, maybe because we have a student, obviously, what advice would you give to maybe not as general how to break into VC, but maybe how you can change VC for the better, how you can really have an impact in VC? What would you give, or what would you say to young students?
I mean,
high question. Sorry.
So if you know, like, I'm just careful to give advice, because I think every person is individual, and whatever worked for myself or people I know might not be the right thing. So the first advice would be, whatever you hear from somebody advising you, just take it as a data point,
okay,
not as the ultimate truth, because probably you're very different to the person who is giving you the advice. But what if you want to go into venture? One path is, I think it's always great if you have experience from startups first. So like basically you're selling your product, which is money and kind of partnership to startups. So understand your customer. I think it always helps if you have worked for a startup. The other one is then also try to work for or with a venture capitalist, and just try to be close to the ecosystem. And that's probably the best advice. I mean, it's to be also fair. There are, if you compare it with other jobs, there are fairly few venture capitalists in the world.
Yeah.
So it's not that there are like every firm has dozens or hundreds of internship
it's also very
opportunities.
unequally distributed, the gains.
Yeah, that as well. But I mean, over time, you're gonna advance in your career, and then maybe you have your own fund, or you become partner, etc. So I think that's over time. It's more a question is, how do you get in? How do you? So it's just I think to be really curious. And then one thing that I really love about venture capital is that you're really in many ways at the forefront of technology, at the forefront of what changes the world, hopefully for good. And your question was how to have an impact. I think by investing in companies that might change the world, you can have a pretty big impact. And we try to actually do investments that either have a direct impact or that actually, like XAI, build infrastructure that then would have even bigger impact. Yeah,
makes perfect sense. Okay, now to wrap it up to the quick three. So just straight off the hip, one word, and after I let's say say my questions. If you could have only one founder for your whole portfolio, which founder would it be?
We already have it, Elon Musk.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Which is the most important startup metric?
Passion and drive from the founder.
Okay, and now the last question. What's your impression about Idea Lab till not today, but today in one word?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Perfect. Thank you for your time, Michael.
Thanks a lot.